I was asked to talk about procrastination and how it applies to people who are avoidant, which ironically took me like a day to think about. Is that for procrastinating? And I'm making the video when probably wouldn't be ideal, but whatever. Again, procrastination. Um, there's my excuses. Um, and actually, before I did it, because it is kind of negative, it is kind of. I'm not. I'm not saying that the person who requested it is doing this. I'm just saying because I understand. I don't know that people even recognize or realize it. But that is kind of judgmental, and it's what other people say about us. And okay, so I'm going to sort of break this down. Now, procrastination. There are different kinds of ways of looking at procrastination, and different reasons for it. Now, when it's a pain is when you have an absolute time deadline. You need to be at XY place right now. And then it's a pain. It's a pain if you are trying to get something done in your life and you just put it off for whatever reason. But I think, there's sort of an idea that I think amongst avoidant people that that they procrastinate maybe more than other people. Now, first of all, I just made another video before this because I had to, because there's no way that I'm going to put up this video, which is sort of like attacking, and or is going to trigger people feeling like they're attacking without having something to counteract it. But seriously, this other video, what I'm talking about is there's a lot of people out there who throw around words that sort of demonize other people and judge them, and it's not totally accurate, and it has a negative spin, and they're just seeing negativity, and they're putting a label on you. You're a procrastinator. You procrastinate. I don't. So if you're hearing it from somebody else, dismiss it completely. Now, what do I think I do think that a lot of avoidant people sort of make delays in doing things. And again, it can become maladaptive. Okay. You can also understand that this is just part of your psyche, and you can cope with it. And you can come up with ways to manage that. And that would be things like, if you can't handle lots and lots of things all at once, you realize that, it sort of builds. It's not like you procrastinate for one thing and then the same amount for the next, but it builds up and you get, twice as much procrastination in the second thing that you have to do. Okay, well, then only plan one thing a day. You're going to go to work, and if that's all you can do that day, that's fine. If you don't have to go out and, do your grocery shopping and everything else. Don't plan it on a day that you're going to have a hard time getting stuff done. But the thing about it is that I think that procrastination has gotten a bad rap. So maybe I'm crazy. Some people say, obviously you're crazy. But I think that it's hard to spit this out because it's like against what our culture is saying. But I think it's a form of self-care in a lot of ways. Because if you're procrastinating, then you're preparing to do something, and you're waiting until you've basically got the energy and the reserves to be able to do it. Now, I'm not saying that, because there is an absolute difference between somebody who is procrastinating and somebody who is lazy. Now, a lazy person just never does anything. I have never, ever met an avoidant person who didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, I think, okay, now, granted, I don't know that many people, but in my experience, avoidant people are more likely to have things like hobbies that they do on a regular basis and other interests that they do than regular people. maybe because they have more time, because they're not socializing as much. But I don't think that avoidant people are lazy, and I think that's one of the big things, is that people think procrastination and lazy are the same thing, and they are definitely not. Procrastination is you're dreading something, and so you don't do it. Okay? So not doing something that you dread that's going to suck you into hell, that is not, abnormal. That's like I said, that's self-care. That is taking care of yourself. When, bad things happen. Oh, sorry, the cat is probably making a shake. Anyway, when bad things are going to happen to you, you obviously don't want to do it. I mean, how many people would voluntarily go and, have needles stuck into them? Maybe I'm weird because until I had a health issue come up, I used to give blood, as often as I could every 8 weeks, which is crazy. And my excuse was, at the time, the donation center was a block away from where I was working. Well, you know what? There were about 400 people that worked in that building alone, let alone all the other buildings all around it. And I was the only one that did it. So, me saying I have no excuse not to, well, everybody else had lots and lots of excuses not to. So this is crap. So the procrastination, what I would do is I would pay attention. This is sort of repeating myself. I think all the time, but and it's hard. I'm telling you, that's why I keep repeating it. It's really hard to look at this stuff, because your gut and everything you've you've heard all your life, all says this is a bad negative thing, and don't look at this stuff that's just happened, because you all you see is the bad and the negatives and beating yourself up over it, as opposed to stripping out the actual facts. Well, first of all, that's a really good habit to be able to strip out the facts from how you're interpreting and how you're emotionally reacting to things. That's fantastic to be able to do that. But also to really pay attention to what it is that is triggering the procrastination. Because it's very likely that there's something that's just a little thing that's really killing you. Like, for instance, I mean, again, this is like really personal and stupid, but I don't mind being around people. I hate being on buses. I don't mind subways. Planes make me nervous because I don't like the turbulence, and it makes me nervous, but it's not like I hate it. But I hate buses. I'm always afraid that I'm going to miss the bus, that I'm going to get on the wrong bus and end up in someplace I don't know. Oh, I hate them. So you know what? I don't use them. If it's going to cause extra stress and make me procrastinate because I'm supposed to use a bus, I won't use a bus. That's how it is. It's real simple. I figured that out, and there we go. Problem not completely solved, but a big part of it, it wasn't solved per se, but it was alleviated. And that's what paying attention of it will do. So, you're going to think, okay, well, it's just being around people. I think, sorry, but I'm going to call bullshit on that. It's not all people. It's not all people. Because if it was all people, you'd be schizoid, not avoidant. So sorry, no. That might be what it seems like on the surface. But it could be something else. It could be that your job, you hate it. Okay, you hate your job. Okay, well, a lot of people hate their jobs. What is it that you hate about your job? What is it that you don't hate about your job? And you're like, oh my God, I couldn't. Yeah, you really could. You really could. I work from home. It was both not what I had sort of had the confidence to do. It was thrust on me, but it's also exactly what I wanted to do forever. It's like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to deal with the cubes anymore. The last job I had, I was basically isolated. I almost did not have to deal with anybody, which is probably a bad thing. I worked with computers all the time. It was great. I almost had, literally maybe like 5 people a day I would have to talk to. I had very little intervention from my boss, supervision. However, my boss was a wicked gossip and would sit in her office that I could hear every word she was saying about every nasty thing that she said about every person you wouldn't believe. It was so stressful. It was so awful. It wasn't the work. The work I was good at. A little hard to say that, but it's true. I mean, it was just, I wasn't 100% perfect. I was pretty damn close to being 100% perfect. It was listening to my boss complain about other people in the company. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It was killing me. And I hated every day. I hated every single day. When I finally left, my doctor told me, based on how I was sort of, the mental state I was in when I was working compared to the mental state when I was not working, she said, I am not to ever work in an office situation ever again. It's like in my medical record that I can't work in an office situation because, and again, it's not the work. It wasn't the work that I had the problem with. It was the people that I had the problem with. It was, the gossip and everything else. And yes, I would procrastinate, and I basically had it in my, first of all, I got it. I had the excuse that I had my son, and I would say, well, I've got to wait for him to pick up on the bus, blah, 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 which is kind of a crap lie, but whatever. And then I would sort of convince myself that I was supposed to be at work 15 minutes earlier than I was supposed to be there, et cetera, et cetera. And I was still late. And I would literally be sitting in the car in front of the building going, it's almost over. It's almost over. Now I think it's a joke and it's horrible, but I mean, I lived through that and I did that, and that's why I was procrastinating. So, in a nutshell, if you're procrastinating, the first step is to notice it, and to be aware that you're doing that, and not to listen to somebody else's crap, because somebody might tell you, oh, you're procrastinating about X, Y, and Z, and you don't feel that way at all. It's just that it's their priority as opposed to your priority. Somebody might say, you're procrastinating and trying to date somebody. You might just, not be interested at that moment, and that's fine, because, if you wait and, if you force it, it's going to suck, and you'll hate it, and you'll have a bad attitude, and you won't actually meet anybody. But if you wait until, my instance, I just tend to basically wait until I'm absolutely desperate, and it overrides avoidance, and there we go, and then I'll, generally, find somebody, usually quicker than I hoped. But that's just me, that's just my weirdness. But that's what I'm talking about, though. That's not procrastination. If it's somebody else's timetable, that's not your procrastination. And if you are procrastinating against something, then you have to look at why, break it down, and see what exactly it is that is causing you to procrastinate. And don't talk in general terms. I'm serious. I'm like me going on the bus, that sort of thing. It's the bus made everything 10 times worse. Cut out the bus, far less procrastination. Okay. I would rather walk 45 minutes than take a 10-minute bus ride. And that might make me insane, but hey, that works. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm repeating myself as usual. But in a nutshell, that's what I would do. I would not look at it as a negative thing. I would look at it as either somebody else is trying to impose their timeline onto you, or it's self-care and you need to figure out what you need to do to get all your ducks in a row so you can do what you need to do. And if you look at it through those two lenses, then maybe you won't beat yourself up for procrastinating so much, and then you won't procrastinate so much.